Good evening, my fellow Exorcists, and welcome to the Lair of the Film Exorcist. Tonight, we will be taking a look at Star Wars The Old Republic, Fatal Alliance. Tassa Barish, a matriarch in the Hutt crime cartel, is holding an auction that's drawing attention from across the galaxy. Representatives of both the Republic and the Sith Empire are present, along with a Jedi Padawan sent to investigate, a disenfranchised trooper drummed out of the Republic's elite Black Star Squad, and a mysterious Mandalorian, Dao Striver, with a private agenda. But the Republic's envoy is not what he seems. The Empire's delegation is a ruthless Sith apprentice. The Jedi Padawan is determined to do the right thing and terrified that he can't. The trooper hopes to redeem her reputation, and the Mandalorian is somehow managing to keep one step ahead of everyone. None of these guests, invited or uninvited, have any intention of participating in the auction. Instead, they plan to steal the prize, which is locked inside an impregnable vault. 2 burned chunks of an exploded star cruiser, one of which may hold the key to the wealth of an entire world. But the truth about the treasure is dangerous and deadly, and in the end, Sith and Jedi, Republic and Empire must do something they've never done before. Something that all the agents of good and evil could never make them do. Join together to stop a powerful threat that could destroy the galaxy. Now, before we move on to my opinion, I'd like to just announce that this video is sponsored by Animal. So go buy yourself some amazing low-priced anime merch, including cute figurines to brighten up your collection. And every time you use the code FILM, you'll get 5% off your purchases, and you will be helping us out with money-wise. Okay, so while I do understand what Sean Williams was trying to do with this story, I am going to have to sadly say that it wasn't as good as I had hoped, due to the fact that it was your generic treasure hunt story where 3 or more parties go off to find this secret weapon or mythical treasure so that they can gain power for their faction. And like most of those, the good guys end up finding the treasure through luck or some power that one of the main characters has, which in this story turned out to be Shigar's psychometric abilities that he shares with other characters like Cal Kestis, Revan, and Quinlan Voss, and the Sith are able to figure it out using science. And the Mandalorian just has the Navic computer that had the directions to said planet. So everyone converges on the planet Sabadon to find out that the person they're looking for might just be dead, and that the super weapon is a droid factory. What I'm trying to say is that this story has been done already, and this time, they didn't really do anything to change it other than to have each of the characters represent a class from the Old Republic game, and they create a new way for a Sith apprentice to kill her master. Oh, and we kinda also have the first space battle that I've heard of in any of these books, which is strange, because this is Star Wars, the franchise known for its amazing space battles, and while it's not great, it is something to enjoy, I guess. I mean, it's definitely more interesting than the lightsaber battles, which honestly were meh. I mean, I barely remember any of them. They weren't that memorable, and yeah, I don't remember a lot from this novel. I'd also like to make it known that this book was a drag to get through. I mean, yeah, I stopped listening for a while because I got sick, but really, I feel they would have been better off splitting this story into at least 2 books, because if they'd stopped after the conflict on Nalhada, we would have had a great cliffhanger that would have made us more excited to see how our heroes were going to find the way to the planet without the navigation computer. But instead, we received 50 chapters of our heroes talking about what they're going to do, and then finally doing it after we're done going through everybody's point of view on the topic. I mean, do I really care about Ula V's little outbursts about him being a Imperial spy working for the Empire inside the Republic? Or, I mean, if I had to say, one of the most boring characters in this story actually would be Jet Nebula. The character that he's a smuggler that's supposed to be so interesting, but he barely does anything in this story to warrant any knowledge. I mean, I guess they were trying to do a Han Solo-esque character for the story, but yeah, no, he does nothing at all, and he tries to act cool, but it's just lame at every turn. Now, I guess I was kinda interested in Eldon Axe's journey to find her mother, but really, she was bland throughout the book, to the point that I didn't really care much when it was resolved, and the same goes for the small romance between Shigar and Moxla, because half the time we're more focused on the treasure than everyone else's relationships, or even the characters themselves. On top of that, it's also very obvious that the writer just wanted a big cast, so he could create all these characters that weren't really fleshed out at all, to the point that I didn't really care if they lived or died. I mean, sadly, rarely anyone dies in this book, but, yeah, I could care less about these characters, especially since we'll never see them again at all. I mean, there was no continuation to this book. It wasn't a part of a full-on series. It's just a book in the Old Republic. And I'm kind of glad we never hear from these characters again, because they're boring. They're really, really boring. Now, really, the only interesting part about this book was the droids themselves, known as the Hex, because the story made it seem like they were actually really hard to beat, and I love how they're created by these portable droid factories, which I'm sure probably influenced that one Dark Vader comic, where he creates an army of commando droids from a hive. But yeah, I'm sorry to say that this Fatal Alliance was more of a fatal blow to the book series, which is why I'm giving it a 2 out of 10 for how much it bored me, and I don't recommend it unless you really want to read about a bunch of characters that we'll never hear from ever again. And actually, from what I've seen so far, many other reviewers didn't like this story either. So, I rest my case, but yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and click the little notification bell for more of our content, and may the Force be with you always. And have a great night.